Right now, a financial world war is happening behind the curtain. On January 18, 2026, while the West was distracted, a critical industrial hub in India went dark. The mainstream media told you it was a technical failure. They reported on the official press release about scheduled maintenance. They want you to believe that's the whole story. They're not telling you the truth. What you are not told is that this event was a trigger, a deliberate signal in a secret plan to reset the global financial system. And the primary target isn't gold, it's silver. The price they are aiming for is not $40, not $50, not even $100 an ounce. The target, based on the math I'm about to show you, is $485 per ounce. Today, I'm going to show you the evidence they don't want you to see. We will connect the dots that the talking heads on television refuse to touch and break down exactly why this power outage in India is the signal that the long-awaited silver reset has finally begun. Pay close attention to what I'm about to show you, because this information will change how you view your money, your security, and your future. Section 1. The blackout, a problem the media is ignoring. Let's start with what they told you. On January 17th and 18th, the Bangalore Electricity Supply Company, or BESCOM, announced a scheduled power disruption. The official story claims this was a routine upgrade to transmission lines. They mention replacing old conductors with new ones to improve capacity. It all sounds very technical, very boring. That's the point. It's designed to make you lose interest and look away. But let's ask the questions a real journalist would ask. Why would you schedule a routine maintenance that requires a full 12-hour shutdown from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. in one of the world's fastest-growing industrial and technology hubs? Why disrupt the power supply to the Adabel industrial area, a zone packed with manufacturing, for an entire business day? The official story says they moved industrial loads to nighttime, but that's a logistical nightmare that costs millions. Does that sound like a simple, convenient upgrade? This was not a minor event, but the major international media, not in New York, not in London, dared to ask the bigger question. What if this wasn't about the power grid at all? What if the power grid was simply the theater for a much larger event? Think about the timing. January 18th, a weekend when American markets were closed for a holiday. It is the perfect time to execute a move on the global chessboard without immediate market reaction. The mainstream media isn't missing the story. They are deliberately ignoring it. They are complicit because the truth is terrifying to the established financial order. They want you to believe this is a coincidence. But there are no coincidences at this level of the game. This was a signal. India was testing its ability to go dark, to operate sections of its industrial base offline, to simulate a scenario where it disconnects from the Western-controlled grid. This was an act of economic warfare, disguised as a power failure. Section 2. The cover-up and the BRICS connection. So why? Why would India do this? To understand, you have to zoom out. India is a pivotal member of the BRICS alliance. For years, the stated goal of the BRICS nations has been de-dollarization. They are actively building a parallel financial system, one that does not rely on the US dollar or the SWIFT network. This isn't a conspiracy theory, it's a stated fact. Russia and China are already settling nearly all their trade in rubles and yuan. The BRICS nations are building payment systems to connect their economies directly. They are creating a new world order where trade is settled not with promises printed on paper by a central bank drowning in debt, but with real, tangible assets. For years, the focus has been on gold. We've seen central banks, led by Russia and China, buying it at a historic pace. But gold is the asset of central banks. It's expensive and difficult to use for everyday trade. The real weapon in this financial war, the asset that will underpin the new system for industrial growth, is silver. This is where the January 18th blackout comes back into focus. It was not just a signal to the West, it was a signal to its BRICS partners. It was India's declaration of independence from the dollar-based system. By showing they can take a critical industrial hub offline and manage it, they are proving they are ready for the next phase. They are demonstrating resilience against the potential blowback from the West when the next shoe drops. What is that next shoe? The monetization of silver as a strategic reserve asset. Think about it. Silver is the single most critical metal for the future. You cannot build solar panels, electric vehicles, AI hardware, or advanced defense systems without it. It is the lifeblood of the fourth industrial revolution. The nation that controls silver controls the 21st century. The BRICS alliance knows this. While the West is fixated on gold, countries like Russia and India have begun to reclassify silver as a strategic national asset. This isn't just about money, it's about national security. The January 18th blackout was the starting gun. It was the moment India proved it was ready to exit the old system and embrace a new one based on physical commodities. Section 3. The Achilles heel of the West, the paper silver market. So how does a blackout in India lead to a silver price of $485? The answer lies in the greatest financial fraud in history, the COMEX paper silver market. For decades, the price of silver has not been determined by physical supply and demand. It has been artificially suppressed by a handful of banks through the creation of vast amounts of paper silver, futures contracts, ETFs, and other derivatives that claim to represent silver but have very little metal to back them up. For every single ounce of physical silver available for delivery, there are hundreds of paper claims. Some analysts put the paper to physical ratio as high as 250 to 1, or even higher. The entire pricing mechanism relies on one critical assumption, that everyone won't ask for their physical metal at the same time. But that is exactly what is starting to happen, and the BRICS nations are leading the charge. This is the core of the strategy. The West's Achilles heel is this fraudulent paper market. The BRICS weapon is physical demand. By stepping into the market and taking mass delivery of physical silver, they can expose the fraud and force a catastrophic default of the paper exchanges. This isn't speculation, it's already happening. COMEX registered inventories, the silver that is actually available to be delivered, have been plummeting. In just the first few weeks of January 2026, there have been massive physical withdrawals from the COMEX. This is not normal investor activity. This is a coordinated, strategic drain of the vaults. This is a bank run on the COMEX. When countries like India, China, and Russia use their U.S. Treasury sale proceeds to buy and take delivery of physical silver, they are calling the West's bluff. Every ounce of physical silver they remove from the market tightens the noose around the necks of the bullion banks, who have sold billions of ounces of silver that they do not have. This is why the January 18th event was so critical. It signals India's readiness to accelerate this process. India is one of the world's largest consumers of physical silver. If India makes a state-level decision to secure its physical supply, it would be enough to break the back of the COMEX. The blackout was the final system check before launching the attack. They are preparing for a world where the COMEX can no longer deliver, where the paper price of silver becomes meaningless, and where the only thing that matters is who holds the physical metal. If you are starting to see the pieces connect, make sure you subscribe to this channel. What I am sharing today is just the beginning. The events are accelerating, and we will be here to track every development and keep you ahead of the mainstream narrative. Do not get left behind. Section 4. The Solution. Unveiling the $485 silver reset. This brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, the $485 price target. This number is not a random guess. It is the result of methodical calculation based on historical precedent and market mechanics. Let me show you the math that makes the $485 target not just plausible, but mathematically unavoidable. First, you have to understand a price reset. It doesn't mean a gradual climb. A reset is a sudden, violent event that occurs when a manipulated market finally breaks. We saw a preview of this in 1980 and 2011, when silver spiked to nearly $50. What is coming is an order of magnitude larger. The first component is the unwinding of the paper leverage. If the true paper-to-physical ratio is 250 to 1, a simple reversion to a 1-to-1 ratio would imply a price 250 times higher. Of course, not all paper holders will demand physical delivery, but the force of this unwinding is the primary engine of the reset. The second component is what insiders call the industrial scream price. This is the price at which industrial users, who must have silver, are willing to pay to avoid shutting down their production lines. For companies like Tesla or Apple, the amount of silver in each unit is small. They can afford to pay 10 or 20 times the current price. Their scream price creates a massive bidding war for the last remaining physical ounces. The third component is monetary revaluation. As the BRICS nations move to a commodity-backed system, silver will need to be revalued relative to gold. The historical monetary gold-to-silver ratio is roughly 15 to 1. Today, it's distorted at over 80 to 1. As gold surges, a reversion to the historical mean implies a staggering silver price. When you combine these three forces, the catastrophic short squeeze, the inelastic bidding from desperate industrial users, and the official monetary revaluation by the BRICS bloc, you arrive at a price point designed to permanently break the old system. That price, according to multiple analysts who have modeled this scenario, is centered around $485 per ounce. This is the price that bankrupts the bullion bank shorts. This is the price that reflects silver's new dual role as both an indispensable industrial commodity and a core monetary asset in the new de-dollarized world. The January 18th blackout was the moment the countdown truly started. What we have laid out for you today is a difficult truth. It is a story of a hidden war and a financial system on the brink of a seismic shift. For decades, you have been told to put your faith in paper assets controlled by the very institutions now facing a crisis of their own making. You have been told that silver is a speculative sideshow. That was the lie. The truth is that silver is the linchpin of the entire system. The blackout in India on January 18th was not a technical glitch. It was a message. It was the first domino to fall in a chain of events that will culminate in the great silver reset. While the mainstream media keeps you distracted, a tectonic transfer of wealth is being executed. The question is, which side of that transfer will you be on? You have a choice. You can remain in the dark, or you can open your eyes. You can understand that in a world of infinite paper promises, the only true safety lies in real, tangible assets you can hold. The information is out there. The evidence of the COMEX inventory drain is public. The statements from the BRICS nations about de-dollarization are on the record. The dots are all there. We have connected them for you. Now is the time for you to do your own research. Look at the data for yourself. The window of opportunity to position yourself for this reset is closing. The price of silver is still being held down by a system that is breaking in real time. This is not a drill. This is your final warning. This is not financial advice. This is an urgent plea to wake up, protect yourself and your family. The great silver reset is no longer a question of if. After the events of January 18th, it is only a question of when. And the answer is sooner than any of us can imagine.